Oh, what's up everybody? If you saw the video from last week, talked about house hacking, and this is like house hacking, but it's on like steroids, and you don't have to live in the place. Last week, I mentioned how house hacking was kind of like a hybrid between home ownership and rental properties. Today, we're talking about a hybrid that's kind of similar, kind of not. It's like a hybrid between renting and flipping. It's already probably sounding too good to be true. And this method's called the BRRRR method. BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. You buy a property, you rehab it, fix it up, make it livable, you rent it out. The nicer the property is, the better the tenants will be and the higher amount that you can rent the property. And you refinance it with the bank and putting a mortgage on that property. And you repeat it. Just like house hacking, repeating is the last step, but it's what kind of makes this whole thing snowball. BRRRR. So the first step, you want to figure out what the value of whatever property you're looking to buy will be worth after you're done fixing it up or rehabbing it. So for this example, you find in your market a $200,000 4-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, whatever it is. Find that it sells really well for $200,000. Again, this is just an example, but the principles to this method apply really in any market. So keep that in mind. So you find a property with 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, 1,500 square feet that needs a little bit of work. It's also listed at $110,000, but you find that the work that needs to be done to the place will cost you about $10,000. Electric needs updating, the whole house needs painted. You find that the kitchen is just awful, it's bad. Not only does it need a facelift, but it needs plastic surgery. But it will all cost $10,000. So now you're all in for this place for $120,000. $110,000 for the home, $10,000 for repairs. So how do you purchase this place? Some people have the ability to pay cash. With cash, you got a little bit more wiggle room on price. Sometimes they use what's called a HELOC, home equity line of credit. Home equity line of credit is taking equity out of your home and converting it into cash. You can actually go to the bank and take the equity from your home and convert it into cash, but it's at an additional interest rate that typically depends on your bank and how much equity you're taking out. Or you can find other players, get partners, get people that want to pool money into it, and it also reduces your risk that way too. And then there are hard money lenders out there or private lenders who will lend you, in this example, $120,000 with a very high interest rate. They'll base a max amount that they're willing to pay you for this loan, depending on your credit and ability to repay debts. And lastly, there are just some straight up lenders out there that can wrap a construction loan into the loan or into the purchase, or get a construction loan after you purchase separately. So to keep it simple, say we found a lender, a private lender, and you were able to get $120,000, but they're lending that $120,000 to you for 5% interest only per month that you are borrowing the money. Say the rehab took 6 months after you purchased it. You purchased it on January 1st and it took you till June 1st to finish that rehab. It looks awesome, everything's brand new. The kitchen looks like it should be on Real Housewives of LA. Everything's great. So now we go and find renters or tenants to live in the property. And this house rents for $2,000 per month or $500 per bedroom. You'll notice $2,000 per month is 1% of what you think the property is worth. We'll talk about the 1% rule in a later video. But now you've got this property, you've renovated it, you've got 4 tenants in there paying you $2,000 per month. Now we refinance the property, and this is where it gets really interesting. Remember, we've got $120,000 all into this property. You go to the bank to refinance. So banks are typically only allowed to lend anywhere from 75% to 80% of the loan to value. So in this example, we will say bank agrees to 75% of the loan to value, aka they will give us 75% of the value of the property. During this refinance period, you get an appraiser out there, and the appraiser says, yeah, this place is worth $200,000. That's fair. So now the appraised value is $200,000. The bank will give you 75% up to $200,000. So what's 75% of $200,000? They will give us $150,000. By the way, the $150,000 is tax-free. They'll exchange that $150,000 for a 15 or 30-year mortgage on the home. So let's break it down. Bank gives you a $150,000 check, a 30-year mortgage on it. You pay back that private lender their original $120,000 plus 6 months of interest. Remember, there's that 5% interest payment per month, which is an additional $3,000. So now you're 123 all in, and you've got this check for 150,000. That's a remainder of 27 grand. Look at this. You now own a piece of real estate, no money into it. Well, technically the property actually paid you $27,000 to bring it back to life, if you think about it that way. And don't forget, there's 4 tenants in there paying you $2,000 per month. And there you go, that's kind of the basics of the BRRRR method. Now, the same as house hacking, last step is you have to repeat. Well, you don't have to, but you can keep doing this method and keep pocketing the profits, or use those profits towards the next place. You can probably imagine how the whole thing snowballs. So you're probably thinking, what's the catch, Krile? The banks typically don't let you refinance for 6 to 12 months after you put a tenant into the property. And this calculation does not include holding costs for those 6 months that you just did all that work to it. But you got property taxes, interest, insurance. You've got a lot of holding costs through those 6 months, or however long it takes you to rehab a place. So you're not really able to buy a place and flip it in 2 months and do this 6 times a year. So it kind of limits you to the amount of times you're able to do this. Catch number 2, rehabbing is just straight up not for everybody. I don't think there's much to say about this. You either love it or you want nothing to do with it. So this method just flat out isn't for everybody. Catch number 3, you need to know your numbers and do the research, such as if the estimated cost for the rehab is much higher than you anticipated, if your after repair value is less than what you thought it was going to be, and if there's just not a huge market for rentals in your area. So sure, there's risk. There's risk to everything, really. But as Warren Buffett once said, if you're prepared and you know what it takes, it's not a risk. I think Terry Benedict said something like that in one of the Ocean's movies. It's not gambling if you know what you're doing or something. I don't know. But just make sure you take the time to run the numbers and do your research. The real key to this method is just finding the deal. Find a local realtor and explain your ideas and see if there are any great deals in your area. Doesn't hurt one bit to get an agent. Buyer's agents work for free. You make money using the BRRRR method when you purchase, not when you sell. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. Shoot comments or whatever. If you have any recommendations for my next video, got a couple of good ones coming up, but if there's something in particular that you'd like, shoot me a message, comment below, do whatever. Comment below, I sound like a YouTuber. All right, take it easy. See you guys next week.